All right. Thank you for your patience as we resolved some technical issues on our end. We are back and we have the complete champion select on both sides here, ready and available to be looked at. Having said that, what do you think about what we've got on our hands right now? And what do we have on each side here? And what's the initial look?
Well, I really like the CC that both teams have going on. Like as we can see, we've got Sedge in the jungle, Rel in support, and Sante in the top lane for blue team. So just a really solid front line. And on the red side, we have some Jarvan and some Alistair and Kennen. So I think we're going to see some really interesting team fights involving just like a ton of crowd control and hopefully a lot of really smart and well executed micro. What do you think?
The one thing that I see from the red team specifically is their desire to fight in more confined spaces. Their comp really excels at that when you can get, say, um, multiple members like stuck in a dragon pit or a baron pit, and you start getting those multi-man cannon ults and misfortune ults layered on top of the Jarvan ult. There's no way to escape that outside of like flashing if you have the flash up, and
Die
so
with your
that
eyes
can be very,
closed.
very deadly in super constricted spaces.
Seems you left your brave pants at
I
home.
agree. I really
Want me to
like
wait while you go get them?
both comps here, and I think that there's both a really good early game fight potential and late game
I'd rather be home anyway.
with stuff like Kennen and Corki. But hopefully we see some very interesting bot lane matchups.
One thing that I will also say is that on the blue side, they do have Sejuani. And when you look at Sejuani, you also want to look around and see like what are the solo laners and how do they synergize with Sejuani. You do have the melee Cassante in the top lane, but critically, it was Kennen that was picked for the top lane on the other side, who is a ranged champion. So if they have any difficulties getting onto that Kennen, getting engaged onto the Kennen, then that does really do a good job of neutralizing the strength between the jungle top lane synergy there.
I really like that. I really like that. And as we look towards more the mid lane, we can definitely see that we have most likely a roaming Talia play style. And as opposed to the splitting and just like control mage playstyle that we have going for Victor here. And how do you think that's going to turn out when the red or the blue side team looks to be so much more team fighting and roaming oriented as opposed to the red team?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe multiple teleports on their side as well.
Mhm.
Just because of the fact that you have the Talia ult that can really get you places, and if you have the Corki package on top of it, like even if you have seemingly no presence at any objective fights prior to the objective spawning, you can fairly quickly like confine spaces and even get a lot of extra like huge like AoE like very quick engages in there. So I think that they are going to want to be the ones pulling the trigger a lot of the times, seeing if they can isolate somebody with their high movement abilities.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hopefully that we see a great game here. I think it's very exciting team comps that we have going forward. And, very, very interested in see how this is going to play out.
What are some of the bands that you weren't as surprised by down there? Interestingly enough, I see that on the blue side they did have two initial 80 carry bands and then proceeded to lock in the Corki, which I feel like we should be talking about here as well. Because this
I
is
just
something that I feel is relatively new.
the Corki pick. I feel like Corki is disgustingly busted right now. I think that um, his movement, his damage, his damage being hybrid, and his clear, his chase is just makes him an absolute force in both the early game and the late. And I really like the those two 80 carry bands because Ash and Varus have like compared to like the average CC, like obviously red team chose MF here. It's got a lot more slow, got a lot more CC. Definitely something that you don't want when you're playing as Corki.
And I would even say a lot more range as well. When you
Mhm.
add in a lot of poke coming out from like Ash W's or a lot of poke coming out from the Varus Q's, there's a lot more safety in that as well. I think with the Corki, you're content with having that extra range on like your rocket abilities and whatnot. And like with the misfortune not having anywhere near as much range as some of those other options, it makes it a lot easier to really get in on her and get close enough for the rockets and even just the other quirky abilities to do a lot more damage a lot faster.
Absolutely. That makes me think. As we move into the bot lane here, is the red team going to go for a more peeling and protective playstyle on the Alistair, or is the MF Alistair going to go for a much more aggressive playstyle? As we both, as both teams have two engaged supports, I think it's going to be
Yeah, I really do think that the red side is going to stay back just a little bit more. I think that they are more content with fighting specifically around objectives than playing it super, super aggressively in lane, even with the Alistar available. I still think that they might be at a slight disadvantage. Um, and I think that they're content with just waiting for everyone to hit that level 6 and really playing around even the new feats of strength mechanic where you're able to get one of those buffs through getting early objectives, stacking early objectives. I think that that's what they're going to be fighting for.
absolutely. That makes more sense. If this blue team obviously has this more aggressive team comp and play style, and as they have, what is it, 3 tanks, they're going to be benefiting a lot more from those upgraded boots than say the red team. Do you want to move into the other bands that we're seeing as well?
Yeah, there were a lot of tank bans in the first half on the red side. It makes me wonder if they wanted to try and push the blue side into some squishier picks, knowing that they wanted to go for this full AoE, really, really heavy, ultimate oriented damage burst composition. And they were just eliminating some of the CC, kind of even like with the Skarner, like move you out of position because positioning is critically important for them. Like really smart bans there, I feel like on their part.
Absolutely. With the Poppy and the Braum as well. Both of those characters just like really can like peel really well as well as like, Braum ult and Poppy ult can just absolutely displace any sort of squishy or um engagers that the blue team might have.
And I think a very critical part too is playing around the Jarvan ult. And we all know very well that Poppy is the single best pick into a Jarvan
Hmm.
because it is very, very easy to get that W up and really just completely mitigate the engage coming through from the Jarvan.
Absolutely.
Got a few people stacking around the mid lane here.
Let's take a look at the mid lane. Got a little bit of poke.
The flag is primarily just for vision, make sure there's no shenanigans going on towards getting some deeper wards or moving forward.
I like this
Doesn't
little bit of presence from such one. He's definitely like trying to keep an eye on the Jarvan. They're both playing these like mental games with each other.
And interestingly enough, we also both see them starting on the top side of their jungles, which usually suggests that they're wanting to put a little bit more presence down towards the bot lane, or immediately reset after they're clear and go for a 2v2 in top lane. We'll see if they both kind of match each other on that, or if one of them is going to commit bot and one of them is going to commit to the reset. It's always really interesting to see like where they choose to go in that case, and a lot of it may come down to some early exchanges in the bot lane to see if they can get any of the health pools down, even any of the summoners before the junglers can make it in. So it's critically important some of the trades that we're going to see down here early on in determining the jungler's path.
Gotcha, gotcha. I definitely think that as these junglers are starting in the top side, we're gonna see a lot of aggression in bot lane. I think a lot of what's gonna happen in this game is gonna hinge on this early game bot engages. As we can see, the red team is being pushed back towards the tower here. We can kind of understand where the blue team wants them to be in terms of placement and in terms of like how to set up for their jungler.
We do see the Jarvan falling a little bit further behind the Sejuani in the initial clear right here. About a full camp behind at the moment. Did stop for the Krugs, which made the pathing just a little bit weirder. Um, but it shouldn't matter too greatly. Oh, we got a kill in the
Oh,
mid lane.
goodness, first blood for Victor. How did that happen? And he's staying. He must understand where the Sejuani put him.
We did see that they were both rather low from their trading with one another, and it may have just been that the Victor laser had slightly more range and was able to get that extra kill.
Goodness. Corki's already dead in the bot lane. And another flash out for this Rel. Looks like a very, very strong early for this red team.
Yeah, we do see 3 summoners down on the side of the red side bot lane, but they did secure the 2 kills for themselves between the mid and the bot lane. So very, very big, and still has the barrier up on the Misfortune as well. Corki, unfortunately, going down with barrier, not even on cooldown, does feel a little rough for the early game and the start to it. And also, you have the 2 out of the 3 going towards the extra feet, towards the upgraded boots already, which is giving them a very huge advantage.
Absolutely. Blue team has to play perfectly here if they want to try and get one of those.
We do see very typical trading going on in the top lane. It looked like they may be really close to killing one another up there. Yeah, Cassante does come out with the kill there. Initially, Kennen had the huge health advantage, and it may have just been the Cassante punishing the cooldowns, because as that progressed, saw probably a 400 to 500 health swing between the two of them. The Cassante finally chasing it down with the flash to get the final kill.
We already have a little bit of a scuffle mid lane as well. Seems like I'll start going for the aggression.
Just get the stun off on the Corki after stacking the E passive on the Rel, which really does allow for a rather huge chunk of damage to go down onto the Corki. And like we said, it's all about the damage trading down here, because that will really provide a huge impact on what the junglers choose to do.
A Hess Flash. Just so much punish. You can see there's not even vision in that bottom bush.
The Sejuani is going to have to come down to cover the lane too, because they're both extremely low, but they don't want to give up the XP in the lane. So it's really tough. If the Jarvan were down here right now, they may be able to pull off the dive, but I suspect that they know that the Sejuani might be lurking around there as well.
Instead, looks like she's just going to be covering for the CS. It's a difficult situation if you're blue team. Looking like red team is putting on a lot of great aggression. You can see there's already a 600 gold lead, and they have the Dragon Crown here. It's going to be hard to come back.
They also got the ward down on Grubs as well. So you see the Rel heading up there, and the Sejuani heading up there, and the Talia heading up there. They do have vision on it. No teleports available, so I imagine that the objective will be traded. But only time can tell here. Yeah, it's looking like they're going to safely take that one.
We have the cryo from the Cassante. We see Jarvan moving up, but Grubs may want to take that. Got the gank in the mid lane.
Ooh, great layering of the CC there.
That's beautiful.
That will be the first of the feats obtained as well.
So how do you feel about this, trading Grubs for the kill in mid lane? Do you feel like getting Victor this far ahead and advancing for the third feat is worth those first Grubs?
I really do think so. They felt safe after they had obtained the Drake, so they do have a 1-to-1 on the objectives, which is still feeling pretty good on their part, especially considering that they already have one of the feats, and it's looking like their lanes are going quite well for them. Oh, hold on, we have a scuffle here in the top lane. Cassante going in on the Kennen, looking at the ult. Not quite enough CC to get away. I believe that will end up being a kill there. Nicely done. The Cassante being the strong point of blue side here, now obtaining a second kill, which will translate into quite a bit of pressure in the top lane. Really huge for being in a melee versus range matchup.
Wow. It says here, big punish if we make this happen. does not afford it, unfortunately. Big damage from the MF.
It looked like they were trying to turn onto their damage and focus it onto the MF, completely ignoring the Alistar. But once again, we see this same trading pattern over and over and over of the Alistar going in on the Rel and then using the stun on the Corki, which is getting them a bunch of initial damage and really favorable trades off.
Yes, I really love these trading patterns from the red side. In addition to this, I'd just like to talk about how much they are abusing the vision in these bot lane fights. It just feels like Corki does not have a chance to get as much damage as he could be onto the MF. And as soon as he's low enough, they're just already so really great micro from the red side bot lane.
Yeah, we do see the misfortune, we never pointed it out, but it does have the press the attack rune as well, which is really, really helping the trades early on. The Corki going for the fleet footwork to kind of heal himself up a little bit and keep his extra little bursts of movement speed here and there, you know, just to try and keep himself healthy for the most part. But the press the attack paired with the Alistar really is giving the red side the extra advantage on the micro trades there.
Fortunately, as Cassante misses a minion, we see him move towards the mid lane a little bit and check his boards. See red side pushed in again. They have a really good Alistar positioning. He understands the Rel is going to go for a play. Really love this micro for the support and the ADC.
Still a relatively close game. Managed to keep it within 800 gold even after the slightly rocky early start for the blue side here. Once again, we see the Hex Flash coming in handy here. But we do have the Sejuani here, and Jarvan is nowhere to be found. The Taliyah coming in with the teleport as well. And that will be the Alistar being caught out and a secure kill taken up by the mid laner.
Great. How the wave is going to push MF. Oh, wow. That's great. She understands that the four of them could go for a dive play on her. And just immediately backs up. Really like that.
Critically, though, the Alistar is still only level 5, and now the Misfortune ult is down for what could be the second Drake spawning here in 38 seconds. The Sejuani ult is relatively low cooldown, so it should be back up shortly after that Drake spawns. And you do have the mobility and the Taliyah ult available, and potentially not quite a Corki package, but...
Wow, can we make a punish happen? Got Rel coming up from behind vision.
It'll be interesting to see if the blue side wants to position back towards those grubs and try and get the 6 grubs, or if they're going to want to try and even out the Drake count and say, we're just okay with it being neutral between grubs and Drake counts.
Looks like they are going for the trade here. Cassante has Prio, but is not taking advantage of it. As we can see, Victor is trying to push out this mid lane. Very interesting split of positioning right now. Alistar is keeping an eye on it, but Corki does have Prio. Victor is boards.
They have 2 members down here.
Going for the engage here.
The Rel is only level 5 compared to the Alistar 6, which is pretty critical there. Taliyah wall coming down.
Uh-oh.
But
Taliyah, what's happening?
1v2.
A lot of cooldowns wasted from the Taliyah. Did not like that play.
Yeah, it did seem just a little late. It seemed like maybe they weren't on the same page either. The Rel did hit level 6 towards the back end of the retreat there, but they were just a little too far away to recommit to that and turn around for the 3v2.
I think just like knowing that Corki has the Prio there and just retaining as much value as you can from the Drake while getting the red side to just come and waste their cooldowns there is enough. And so really hoping that the Taliyah can see that in these next fights going forward.
I'm really interested in the fact that we are now 12.5 minutes into the game, and there have only been a total of 4 turret plates taken across the 2 sides. 1 in top and 1 in mid for the blue side, and 1 in mid and 1 in bot for the red side. That is not a lot of, like, full map pressure, and that could be critically important going forward since the objectives are so even at the moment, both sides having two major objectives means that the feats of strength could still go either way, dependent on what happens at, say, the next objective fight, or if that goes the way of the blue side, then whoever is able to get that first tower.
As we can see here, both of the teams were both deciding. Oh, wow. Beautiful execution from the blue team. That was disgusting.
Yeah, that's the power of the Sejuani Talia combo. You throw out the Sejuani ult, and the Talia W is a virtual lock. Once you have the Talia W down, that is a lot of extra damage through the rock field. And coupled with the Q on top of that, that's just a lot of burst damage. Guaranteed, you don't have to aim.
This Victor, as we know, is extremely squishy, and if he's caught out, that's just pretty much it.
He did die with flash up too, so the Sejuani ult came from the other side of the wall from the Fog of War, and critically they were able to layer the CC and the burst damage strongly enough that he was not even able to utilize that flash to escape.
Just great micro from both teams. We can see that we have the spam ping from the Jarvan about the Talia flash, so understand that we're keeping good track of sums as we go forward. 15.
We saw a very supportive build coming out from the Sejuani there. It's looking like they may want to put a little bit more resources into the Corki going forward. As we know, Corki does scale incredibly well. And so adding that extra little bit of power to put forth towards that Corki going into some of the later fights, as we see a gank coming down in bot here.
They
Rel
did not
engaging
even
this
see
force
it
appears to be in
coming.
a lot of trouble with a lot of damage coming through. CC has ended, but they are able to finish off the kill.
Can we make something happen? Can we turn it around here? Have the Victor coming down. We have the slow field. Looks like they're just going to back off.
Yeah, the Victor W really well placed in terms of disengaging the fight and making sure that there was no follow-up on that. It was 4 versus 3 there after the initial kill came through on the Misfortune. So numbers advantage in the favor of the blue side as they were able to secure the kill there. But the Victor W coming through means that there is no room to follow up.
No, they know. Happened.
Ooh, super critical that they were able to hit the minefield there. If there's no stun coming through there, I think the Jarvan does have the capacity to ult there and follow up, and that is likely a kill secured.
Both looking pretty even at the moment. Both teams just making so much aggression and just trying to take advantage of every little pocket. Try bush here. Fight in mid lane too.
The Cannon did just have to burn the flash on the top lane as the Sejuani ulted him, and the Cassante flashed forward aggressively. So it will be a flash for flash, the Cannon ults down, Sejuani ults down. So we could see some plays happening in the top lane sometime in the next 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, definitely think as we go forward the oh my goodness. Can we make the dive happen? Can Jarvan do it? He makes it out. That was beautiful. Got a TP coming down from what looks like the Cassante. Really would like for the Victor to get out here.
We do see the transition of the AD carries towards the mid lane so that they can apply pressure one way or another. Critically, it'll be interesting to see who clears this objective faster. Can they take the Drake faster, or will they take the Grubs faster? Because whichever one goes down first does get that feat.
Oh, looks like we have Corki going over to the Drake here. Really good.
Is the blue side able to obtain the objective first as well, and expending the teleport on the Talia as well? They want to collapse and take this Drake too.
I think we're going to see a 5v5 here. Going for the Drake. We got the Talia coming in. Alistair, what's happening?
Pushed way back out of position. Excellent MF ult coming through, but it was cancelled by the Rel ult. We do see some of the big AoE ults coming through. Cassante is ulted. He is in pursuit of the Victor, and they are going to back off. It will be a 2-for-0 in favor of the blue side.
Oh man. Did you just see that micro that we just saw? That was beautiful. Going from the Rift Herald with the Corki, following in to go from the mid lane into that 5v5 boss fight. Great work. Ooh.
So that was just excellently played as well. There's a lot going on here. We do see the Jarvan falling finally as well. Corki on very low health, lots of low health bars on the blue side, but ultimately it is still technically a 4-for-0 at this point in the extended fight. Another flash coming through from the remaining member, the Victor. Still being chased by the Xante, is going to hit the Q2 for the knockback, but does not have any support to help him finish off the kill. Ultimately, very, very favorable for the blue side here.
These Talias are just absolutely destroying the red side, as we can see here. So much well-placed CC, and so well-layered as well.
Yeah, I want to talk about that last fight around the Drake as well. You had mentioned just the beautiful macro play in going for the Rift Herald and then knowing that they had the resource in the Talia ult, Talia teleport, to get to where they needed to get to collapse on the Drake fight fast enough. But critically, the Jarvan ult, because of the tower dive, was down for that Drake fight. And so they had no Jarvan ult available for that fight. The Kennen ult was down at the start of the fight. They did not get the Kennen ult available to them till later in the fight. Having those AoE ultimate tools down for their fight is not ideal for them. That's not where they want to be in these situations where they are finding themselves in the 5v5s.
Some scuffling going on. I don't think we're going to make a kill out of it, but we are going to take some damage.
And that will be the upgraded boots coming through for the blue side as well, as they were able to secure the third objective before the other side. So even though the red side was able to get the 3 kills first, we are going to see the boots coming through for the blue side.
Definitely feeling some poor timing choices for the red side here, and hoping that they can make some things work as we move towards the Baron.
Got a little bit of a lull here, as both sides are going to be on their resets and moving back to get some items. We got about a 1k gold lead for the blue side here, though they do have some extra monetary value in their boots being upgraded, giving them that extra little bonus on all of them. And other than that, yeah, still a very close game. Could go either way. Objectives are, for the most part, balanced. 3 grubs on both sides. One Rift Herald and 1 Drake on the blue side.
Can Kennen make it out? Getting absolutely destroyed here.
I think that's a no.
Unfortunate. Oh
Just
man,
excellently layered CC.
I think we're going to be seeing a kill on Atakan here up in the top lane, which is going to just absolutely send the blue team into the lead more than they are right now.
Yeah, right on 20 minutes they go for this, but they do have to be careful because Atakan does do a lot of damage. So,
got some good zoning from the Rel here. MF and Alistair just cannot make anything happen. Even with the Victor teleport, we're going to see a fight here again. Got some good damage coming in from Victor.
Yeah, so we do see quite a few low health bars on the side of the blue side there. Again,
Flash.
can't be taking a ton of damage from the neutral. Kennen ult is up, and with the teleport coming through here, this could be pretty dangerous. They are able to secure the Otacon. So they do have the revive in case they do fall. A lot of kills coming through for the red side. The value going with the objective going over to the blue side. And no kills on either side. Excuse me, the Jarvan was felled down. But other than that, the revives coming through for the blue side. Lots of low health bars remaining on the red side. They are able to clear out most of the advantages that were obtained from taking down the Otacon. So, relatively even overall. And now we see the gold lead even like gone. It's neutralized, dead even between the two sides.
Yeah, really like this this play from the red team to just fight as much as they can. You know, they understand that if they leave the Atakan uncontested, blue team just takes the game away. And so they have to make something happen, even if they risk their timer. So we can see that with that slight gold equalization and the reset for the Drake here.
Yeah, and looking forward towards the next Drake, the only ult that might not be off cooldown is going to be that NF ult. It will be pretty close, but not having that ult could be a pretty big deal in looking towards this 4th Drake of the game and seeing what it can provide and who's going to fight for it. Other than that, we have quite a few flashes down as well because of that last fight. We have both the AD carry and the support on the red side still having their flashes up, as well as their mid laner. And on the other side, they only have the Corki and the Sejuani with the flash. So 2 to 3 in the flash count.
Definitely, I think. We got the Hex Flash coming in from Rel onto this Alistair. Really important pick if they can get it here before the Drake.
Yeah, but now that's a level 9 Alistar with no ult. that is basically not a champion at that point in the fight. You're going to get a knockup and then you're going to die. So you have to make your knockup critical, and that's not going to do it.
Very interesting flash from the Alistar. We got the MF ult coming back here. Can we make something happen with the Kennen as well? Oh my goodness, Red
Lots
Team
of
is turning
shutdowns
it
coming
around.
through.
Can she get the kill? MF absolutely destroying the blue team.
Sante is pretty tanky here, but he's not really able to peel for himself at the moment. He did dash over to safety and is going to be able to get out. Overall, very favorable for the red side there. It was a 3 for 2 overall. A lot of summoners coming out, but I think they're going to be able to position towards this objective here. Health bar still a little too low on the remaining members of the blue side. They are going to be able to even out the Drake count. And the gold lead is still dead even between the two. There is no lead on either side, so really close fights here, and it's going to come down to maybe some Baron plays coming out here soon. Might be the next thing that they're looking at here in about a minute.
Really love the Bloodthirster buy from that. Just unbelievably tanky and resilient fights as we go forward into the late game.
It was a little bit of a shaky start to that last fight, as we saw the Alistar flash forward and get immediately CC'd and just die. A little unfortunate, but there was another excellently placed Victor W coming through, and the Victor W was able to catch 2 members slowed inside of it while the MF ult was coming through. No way to catch that MF and stun her out of it, and we do have a pause coming through at the moment.
We'll look for technical difficulties here.
um, which just makes it even more important when you are in even game states like this.
Absolutely. I think as we go forward into the late game, we would like to see a little bit more aggression from the red side, because this Corki scaling and this Cassante becoming an absolutely unkillable tank will prove to be a problem for them as we hit level 18 and as we go for the Baron fights and potentially even an Elder fight. Really interested in what they're going to build like and if they're going to put on some of that aggression.
Yeah, Casante also really carrying a bulk of the team at the moment too, so providing even more strength towards that Casante could be very dangerous territory for the red side. We did see he was 4-0-3 there. He has not died yet for his team, and he was able to really pull them out of that early game rut that they were in.
Unsure if we have a pause again. Are we experiencing any technical difficulties at this time?
All right, and we are back. So now we do have a little bit of an interesting trap going on up here, but they do have vision on it. We should be fully aware that they are stacking this brush. They may want to see if they can fight this because they're aware that they are all 3 members in there at the moment.
Good zoning on the route. Red team is feeling a little bit scared as the blue team has the jungle control. Make a play on the Victor. Yeah. Oh my god, beautiful kill from Corky here. Alistair looks like he's going to be going down too. Takes it out with the ult.
The Talia was able to get the W and the minefield off on the Misfortune. Catching out the Misfortune is so critical because she did have her ult up, and that is a lot of the damage in the team fight composition on the red side.
Absolutely. Like the save of the barrier from the MF, she knows that she's going down. As well as the Victor, he's ulting there to preserve the tower. To have like a good understanding that they have to just reset quickly and try to preserve as much strength for this Baron fight.
So they have no Victor ult here, no Alistar ult. They only have the Kennen ult and the Jarvan ult available to them to contest this Baron, which is going to make it very difficult to do so, especially if the Talia chooses to add any additional terrain to keep them out. The Talia W coming through hits
Forcing the Kennen ult here. Some trades back and forth.
Cassante really wreaking havoc in the back of this fight here. Hadn't even ulted up until this point. Talia securing another kill on the Alistar. Cassante is in the back fighting the Misfortune. It's going to be tit for tat really close, but the red side coming out on top in this fight.
Massive choke from the blue team there. What do you think happened that made that so?
Yeah, I'm not really certain exactly what happened there. It felt like a lot wasn't going well for the blue team in that fight there. Did have the initial Talia W hitting 2 people, which brought down a lot of burst, securing a lot of damage, getting a lot of targets really low in health. And even the Kennen ult only went down on 1 target. So on paper, you would think that that would be a very successful fight for the blue team. They're waiting here for the Kennen to respawn and take the Baron. I like that a lot.
Really smart place.
Some critical things that I noticed. The Sejuani ult was up at the end of that fight. The Talia ult was up at the end of that fight. There could have been some sectioning there that they could have done. Not having the Sejuani ult go down on somebody, super critical. Like, the fact that they weren't able to get those down and secure some extra kills there. Meanwhile, on the other side, all of the ultimates were down, all the summoners were down, really making the best of what they had available to them to make that fight work for them.
Absolutely. I think that we saw some sacrificial pawns in the Alistar, in the Kennen. Kennen just forcing his ult there, trying to make as much as he could work, while Jarvan and MF cleaned up what they could. So just really clean play from the red team. They really turned around what seemed like absolute destruction from the blue team, as we can see with this 3k gold lead going forward and a 10 stacks Darksteel from this Victor. We've absolutely scaled into the late game.
Victor is one of those champions who also benefits very immensely from the 10 stack Darksteel, as movement speed really assists his kit. So we'll see that extra little bit of mobility coming through for him, and it just gives him so much extra power as he's able to race around the map and weave around different skill shots and fights and make sure that he's not getting fully caught out in some of these awkward spaces that the blue side is able to create.
Absolutely. With this Baron buff, though, I would like to see the red team playing a little bit less conservatively to establish those wave presences and take that first turret down for the mid lane. You know, if they want to establish a fight and finish off the blue team, they could potentially take inhib turrets here if they were a little bit more aggressive, I'm feeling.
Yeah, I think the blue side does know how critically important that mid wave is, though, which is why they're always keeping at least 2 members on that mid wave, especially with the Drake spawning here. They want to make sure that they can push back even the Baron empowered minions and make sure that neither side is able to get the advantage in.
I think the red team knows that there's such a strong engage in the Rel, in the Sejuani, in the Cassandra here. Oh, going in for the flash from the Alistar. We got the Kennen MF ult combo going in here.
Most are able to get away on this side of the blue side, but the AoE advantage is coming through. We're really seeing the power of them here.
Oh my
Look at how
goodness,
big that Victor ult is.
Scaling. Can the blue team do anything here? This game is looking absolutely one-sided.
They still have the Baron buff up. It doesn't look like they have a full wave to empower with it, and it should be expiring here in 10 seconds. And so that will make it a little bit difficult for them to end the game here, but they should at least get the second mid tower here. Again, evening up the map pressure, securing the Drake on the backside of things. now opening up a 5K gold lead, which is very hugely to their advantage.
It's just disgusting how much red is going to be able to get from this fight. As we can see, we've already got the second turret down in the bot lane, in the mid lane. Only unexposed lane is this top lane that we have just pretty much disregarded.
Yeah, and I think that Red Team really showed their strength there in that last fight. They were finally able to make use of all those AoE ultimates that they had stacked up in this team composition, and each and every one of them getting value in that last fight. There was not one ult that was wasted in that last fight, and they were really able to pull the trigger, really get on top of things, gain the early advantage in the fight, and really force blue side like immediately into retreat, which was very huge for them. And so that was a little bit punishing towards the blue side's style of play where they're trying to play around zones of control, and they weren't able to develop any zones of control before the red side was able to engage on them and punish them.
Absolutely. I'd love to see a strong 3-on-1, 4-on-1 CC on this Victor, on this MF from the blue team, but they're not making as much as they could have. And just really clean play from the red team. As you just talked about, the clean combo of the MF ult and the Kennen ult into the cleanup by the Victor ult. Just really clean play.
Yeah, I think all the successful fights that we've seen out of the blue side in this game have all involved Rel getting on top of his fortune. Hold on here as we have the Rel going in for the 4-man ultimate. Not a lot of damage following up coming through. Alistar doing a lot of zoning with his ultimate up. Victor flashing forward, getting 2 kills here potentially as the Chaos Storm is following the second kill. They are able to secure the kill on the Cassante as well as the Kennen ult came through alongside Jarvan ult. Two getting to safety, but I believe this is going to be the game.
Utter aggression, just complete clean play from the Victor. He knows when he can go in, he knows his damage, he knows that he is the carry at this point in the game.
Yeah, I really like the aggressiveness coming out there. One thing that I would really love to point out as well is that I was literally just mentioning before the fight started on how important it was for the Rel to get on top of the Misfortune. We did see the Rel noticing exactly that. Hey, I gotta get on top of the Misfortune. And she was able to. She was able to get the 4-man engage. But Alistar is the only champion that was missed in that engage. And Alistar stepped up, pressed R, and stood in the face of 4 members of the blue side, zoning them off of their own engage by the Rel. That was really critical in setting up the fight and giving the real advantage to the red side.
Great win here for the first this set from the red team. As we saw there on the graphs, Victor had an almost 10k damage lead across the whole board. Just goes to show how much he was outputting on those last leg fights. Really good stuff.
Yeah, we did see in that second to last fight, the Chaos Storm grew to a rather large degree. And honestly, I think that might be one of my favorite features of the new Victor. It may be a little annoying to play against, but it's really kind of funny seeing that thing like blow up out of proportion as it did there and really take over. It really feels like a Chaos Storm now, you know? With that, we are going to hop over to a quick intermission and we will be back shortly. Welcome back, everyone.
May you
Thank you
die.
for waiting. As we have all of our picks ready here, we just have people selecting
Team
everything. You'll
duet
see the
your brave
bands and
pants at
picks coming
home.
through
Do you
shortly
want me
on
to
the
wait while you
screen
go get
here.
them?
We're super excited to get into the second game. There's lots of really exciting picks in store for us here. Lots of really unique approaches
I'd rather
coming
be
up
home
here
now.
shortly that we are very excited for.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome back once again. Gonna see
some
rather strange bands from both sides of these teams. Definitely. In this season, we have a lot of strong tank junglers, and so I think we're seeing some emphasis on trying to cut that strength out of the game, even before we get into it.
And this is the big thing. Victor Band coming through. No more of that Victor nonsense.
Gonna
Didn't want to
definitely
fight
see
against
ego
that.
boost. Big ego boost for red side there.
Yeah, one of the most satisfying things, honestly, is when you do really, really, really well on a pick, and then the next game it gets like target banned by the other team.
Absolutely. Got some interesting picks in the top lane here. And Bessa Renekton with Renekton's second pick. I think that's quite interesting in my experience. And Bessa absolutely crushes Renekton. So I really hope that we see some more aggressive top lane 1v1s and maybe some more focus around the top side of the map this game.
Yeah, it is important to note that these picks are not being picked in the order in which they were drafted in, but they are just selecting their own picks. So there may have been a couple of picks here that were second half picks that look like their first half picks, or first half picks that were actually second half picks. So there was a little bit more to the draft dynamic than what is like visibly evident here. Uh, but we did see, like for example, Zach was a second half pick, and as we see the extra two bands coming in here from the red side, that will make a little bit more sense. As a couple of extra tanks were banned out prior to the picks available to the second half blue side.
Interesting. As we can see from the red side, we have 5 tank bans, 3 of which are tank jungle bans. Definitely a target ban coming from the red side. They really don't want to deal with those extended CC from that Skarner, from that Poppy, and from that Sejuani as they saw last game. Definitely an interesting choice, and I wonder if this is based on their ADC choice or their experience playing thus far. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I will point out that the Poppy is banned because they are feeling a lot of comfort with the Jarvan and the setup that it provides for their team. So that one just makes a lot of sense. Skarner, again, quite possibly still one of the strongest, if not the strongest, pick in terms of utility and the tankiness that it provides in the jungle at the moment. And so that's definitely also something that is critically important to ban, especially when you're on red side, because it would very quickly be first picked on the blue side if it is left open. So not a lot of surprise there. But again, you see the Cassante ban coming out. That's a new ban from the last game to this one. To see a lot of success on that pick in the top lane as well. And then the Sejuani too. There were a lot of times where Sejuani was able to help them crawl back in after getting off to a little bit of an early game disadvantage. So some of those extra bans that were not their last game coming in through here to remove those tanks and force them to find some new ways to get engaged tanks into their composition.
Absolutely. I agree. As we see from the blue side, what do you think about this Galio and these Jace bans? I know that we saw the ego ban from the Victor and the snap ban for the Aurora and the Ash, but Jace really intrigued me here. We've got a lot of tank bans from the other side, but do you think this is a target ban or some strategic ban going forward?
Yeah, I feel like it has to be a target ban. Jace is one of those picks where a lot of the times he's not necessarily like a super meta pick, but he's always seems to be really strong. And there were a lot of players that are very, very mechanically gifted with Jace, and he can be a very punishing pick if he's played properly. I think that's a lot of what he's intended to go for. The other thing that I remember about that too, as Vars was a first half pick in the champion select. And if you can get Vars Qs out and Jace Shock Blasts out, then you're getting a lot of extra poke in prior to fights. And so there may have been some incentive there for them to eliminate not only the strong solo lane pick, but also that extra little bit of poke that can go out prior to fights.
Absolutely. I love that analysis. I think that Jace is just one of those champions that at high elo, even at this collegiate level, we have top 10, top 5% players that you absolutely have to respect just because of how high that skill ceiling can be, especially in these games where one fight can mean so much. Having a player with that kind of impact who can flex into strong splitting, great poke, absolutely devastating team fights. I think just a great ban choice from the blue side here.
Yeah, another really interesting thing that we were talking about earlier is the choice on the red side. We did see 4 or 5 picks of Karma and Rel, the Karma coming before the Rel. So really interesting to see that we are getting a Karma mid here rather than a Karma support. The pairing of Varus and Karma could be awfully strong, very heavy in like aggressive damage in the lane, especially in the earlier stages of the game. But instead, they opt to swap that Karma over to the mid lane and draft the Rel on the last pick of the champion select. What are your thoughts on that and how that may make a difference in matching up into the Hui Seraphine bot lane?
I think it's quite interesting. I'm unsure if it could have been like one of those draft mind games where it's like, oh, they chose Karma support here. Let me counterpick with like a Seraphine support. Um, what confused me a little bit is that, as we have Karma mid lane here, I'm unsure of like how much of they're going to be splitting into like shielding and healing versus like pure damage output. I know that the red team clearly recognized that it's just going to be um like one tank from the side of the blue team. But I'm unsure of like what kind of pushed them towards this karma pick other than like, trying to outdraft their opponents here.
Yeah, one thing that I immediately saw there was that there were more teleports on, I believe it was the blue side than there are available on the red side. Ignite Renekton coming through, as well as Cleanse Varus, whereas on the other side, you have the teleport on the Ambessa, the teleport on the Corki, and the teleport on the Hui. Now, this could be pretty significant, as we did see that being able to move around the map ended up being really, really significant in terms of the overall macro play dividing between objectives, specifically around the time when it is
30 seconds
important to
until
secure the
minions
third and
spawn.
the fourth objectives for yourselves of the game. And so those teleports could be really, really critical.
Got some nice fog of war play here from the red team, but the blue team sees it coming from a mile away. We even have this ward in the top jungle right now. Got some just really great positioning and really great vision from the blue side. They know that the red side has that level 1 aggression. They're playing very carefully. I like this a lot.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, again, we see one of the powers of the Jarvan is in his level 1 and his ability to place down those flags. They do provide vision in the brushes that you throw them into if you throw them into a brush. And it has a pretty long range on the ability as well. So you can use it like without being concerned about being punished in the process. So a lot of the times it is very valuable in getting you early game information.
Absolutely. Got the Corki mid transitioning from the Corki bot here. We have both junglers starting in the top lane once. And utter
Ooh, we got
aggression
a
in the bot lane.
catch here on the way.
Level 1. Are we going to see any other sums burned? Can we get anything? Wow. Great trades from the red side here.
Yeah, still very dangerous. Oh, and extra stun coming through. A couple of auto attacks as well on top of it. It's going to get the Seraphine really low. Popping the heal just so that they can bring themselves forward without as much danger to try and get these minions.
What an utterly disgusting level 1 trade that we have going on here. Just so much strength. Oh, okay. We have a pause going on.
Appears to be a bot lane communications issue on the side of blue side.
I love
So a really strong start here for the red side bot lane. Very significant trading going on. They got the heal out. They did use the ignite from the rel, so that will be down for the time being. Good job on the Seraphine's part to hold on to the heal and use it after the ignite had stopped, so that they could get the full value out of it without being like fully scared of like falling. They were probably sub 100 health there, so it was getting really close. but only the Rel was able to follow up. The Varus did have to back out away from the wave, so he wasn't being punished by the wave as he was going forward, and he was also able to secure some of those minions in the process too.
Absolutely. Love the aggression from the Rel. She's absolutely abusing that shield that she has on her. And smart play, as you said, using the heal post ignite as well. I wonder if that usage is going to come back to bite the blue team. As we can see, Rel's ignite cooldown is just about 1/4 done. We are going to see such a fast re-up on that ignite timer, and hopefully they can make something happen. They're really retaking that role, as we saw in the first game. MF Alistar getting pushed all the way back up to tower on level 1, level 2, level 3. And we can see that the Rel Varus here is so much more aggressive into this double mage lane.
The one thing that I will think it will be important to take note of after we finish this pause here is, do this trade, will we see Jarvan skip some camps potentially to try and see if he can get ahead of the Zac in moving towards his bot lane? Because at the moment, the Zac looks like he has already started up on his wolves, whereas the Jarvan is just leaving the Crux. And so there is a pretty significant difference where they are in terms of their positioning towards moving down towards that bot side. And it could be incredibly valuable for the Jarvan to go down and see if he can secure one of those kills.
Absolutely. I just think, as a previous jungle player, I could not imagine giving up this red camp. And obviously, he has to take care of at least his blue and possibly his Gromp, um, to not stay behind in level compared to the Zac. The Zac has just incredibly fast clear. It looks like both teams are going to be making a move towards the bot lane. Zac potentially could make a vision play from the chickens onto the Karma. Not as mobile. But it's going to be interesting. I hope that we see some more fights in the mid, and some focus away from the bot lane as opposed to what we've seen last game.
Yeah, I will say though, one thing that makes it a little bit trickier to play around the mid lane this game is that there is a clear lack of CC on both of the mid laners' parts this game. We have a Karma who has a root after a delay, and a Corki who does not have any form of hard CC. Whereas in the previous game, we had the Victor W, which not only provided a slow, but then later a stun if you get stuck in it. And we had the Talia who had the minefield and the knockback. And so there's a huge difference in the amount of CC that was provided last game versus the amount of CC that's been provided this game.
Absolutely. I think we're only looking at Seraphine ult, Hui root, Zac jump from the side of the blue team, and then Karma root, Rel, Varus, and Jarvan from the red team. So just completely different game in terms of the micro and how I think these fights are gonna take shape. Oh, we got the flash coming from the Rel. Double flash from the blue side.
Yeah, that's really huge. The Varus does still have the flash up. And so any sort of Q that could come out here, any WQ would instantly be a kill on either of them if they're not able to get this recall off. Having the cleanse still available as well means that even if he does get hit by one of Hui's abilities under the tower, he will be able to quickly escape. So a lot of kill threat going on here.
Oh man, disgusting. Absolutely stopping the back here, forcing the wave. Just so much advantage created from those Rel trades. Really like that micro, really like the positioning from her. Let's hope that she can keep it up as the game goes on.
He does have the teleport, so he's only going to miss about half a wave of minions, which is pretty critical because that could have been really blown out of proportion had he not had the teleport available to him at that point. And so
Absolutely.
the lead isn't going to be as significant as it could have been on the part of the red side. But they have to be feeling pretty good here as they're able to get this back and this reset in with a little bit of extra money in their pockets.
Absolutely. Beautiful, perfect reset from the red side.
We also have summoners blown on the top side as well, which we missed. It seems like that may have happened a pretty good amount of time ago. The invested teleport down means that she teleported back to lane after presumably, I would assume, being relatively low in health, as the Ignite did come down out of the Renekton as well.
Just look at these disgusting trades. Renekton is absolutely forced back to the tower. Investig's going to be able to take some vision here. Potentially some prio. We've got the
Jarvan is here on the way with no flash on the way.
Oh,
waiting to
man.
layer the CC. Excellently done. I love every part about that play. Not only did the Jarvan wait for the Rel to initiate, the Jarvan then waited for the second Rel stun to come through, and then proceeded to use the knockback, and then proceeded to give the kill over to the Varus. Every
Just
part about that setup was perfect.
so much patience as we saw the beautiful dodge from the Hui CC, and honestly a little bit of oversight from the blue team. We saw the Seraphine moving up towards the mid on the chickens, and no vision coming from her or the Hui in that tri-bush. Just utter advantage completely taken over by the red team.
Now the Zac is going to slip through and get up to the Renekton here. I would think that the Renekton would be perfectly aware of this happening. Is going to back out, was spotted on the ward. So excellent job getting that extra little bit of vision there to spot that out. The Jarvan is going to run into the Zac here down in the blue side jungle. Oh,
Are we
they
seeing
may
a
miss
seal
each
down
other
on the
here.
blue?
Yeah. Looks like Jarvan may sneak this blue. Yeah, he did.
Oh my
And he got the Gromp
god.
on the back end of it. 2 extra camps there. Feeling pretty good after the chickens were taken away from him earlier on in the game.
It's disgusting. If I'm Zach here, I'm absolutely fuming.
Yeah, it's really tilting on the part of a jungler to be in this position where you've just lost 2 of your camps, especially after securing only 1, and not even the full camp. He did leave a couple of those smaller raptors there and still up, which dissipated Jarvan not falling for the turn around and go kill it, now that it does actually despawn when there are not a certain number of raptors there. But really close there. Part of the
Beautiful
play.
dodge from the Rel. That was a great one.
See the level 6 Ambessa here. The Jarvan is going to have to come up to support this, or else this will likely end in a kill. But the Renekton also has the Ignite up, which leads me to believe that the Ambessa should not have the kill threat on the Renekton. At least not without being traded out for it.
Uh-oh, here comes a Jarvan.
It may be that they're waiting
level
for the
6 here.
Renekton to hit 6. Yeah, they're waiting for the Renekton to hit 6 before they go in. The flag and drag is missed. The ult is used as an escape mechanism, and I do not imagine that the Ambessa will turn around or that they will chase the Ambessa.
Clean play from the Ambessa. She knows that the Corki can peel her here, even if the Karma does come up. That was a great ult. You'd love to see stuff like that. Just really smart heads-up play from these players.
Yeah, and Karma's going to have the mid priority here over Corki for at least a reasonable amount of time. Karma is a very, very strong pick, and those empowered Qs early on can clear the wave really quickly and also deal out a very large chunk of damage. So they are going to be able to secure the grubs. Knight coming through. Just going to miss the kill on the Ambessa, but the Ambessa had to flash away, and using the healing potion did end up saving her life. It is not over yet, as the Rel is here and stop the back, and the Jarvan is on the way.
Looks like it might be over for the Ambessa here. Can she make something happen? Oh, it's disgusting. Beautiful play from the red team. Just crushing her spirits. She thought she could get out or make a play there, but beautiful.
Critically as well, the Jarvan flag provided the attack speed bonus to the Renekton, so even though the Jarvan did not touch the Ambessa, did still get the 50 gold from the assist on the kill due to that flag being in the vicinity of the Ambessa. Excuse me, of the Renekton.
Oh my god.
Flash cover
Great
on
flash.
that one.
You can just really tell that there's a lot of synchronized team play from the red side. Blue team falling a little bit apart here in terms of their positioning and their ability to work together. Hopefully they can make something turn around here. We've got a one more kill going towards the feat of strength. If blue lets one more slip, it's going to be hard to come back from this.
Yeah, I really like the fact that the red side used their early bot lane advantage to be able to move Rel around the map. We have actually seen, oh, hold on, we've got a potential dive coming in through here. The Corki is knocked up by the flag and drag. Jarvan taking the tower shots, does get the ult down. Is going to take a couple extra tower shots, but is not quite going to get out alive. Another couple tower shots going to come through here onto the Karma. The E is going to mitigate the damage, but it is going to be a 1-for-1. But the feat of strength is going to be obtained for the red side.
I think that's a worth it trade. If I'm the red side here and I consider the possibility of getting those boots, I'm taking those every time. Oh, looks like we got a miss ult and a flash up from the
minion is available there for the Zac Q to pull them together, and this should be a kill.
So we have a little bit of a kill there. Blue side falling back into this game.
Yeah, going back to my previous process before we got a little interrupted by the mid lane action going on, um, I was saying that I really like the fact that the red side was able to use their bot lane advantage to move the Rel around the map. The Varus was alone in lane for a lot of the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and was still able to be fine and farm up with the safe like farming of the Q and then the E, having a lot of AoE wave clear and available on relatively short cooldowns, was able to keep him safe. Did have to burn the flash, but overall, oh,
Oh, great
Seraphine
here
had
from
to
the
blow the
Hwei.
flash. Yeah, critically, the follow-up there on the Varus ult was right where it needed to be, otherwise the Seraphine would not have had to flash there, but now that is a flashless, immobile, level 5 Seraphine. Now level 6.
Yeah, as you were saying earlier, this realm ability is going to prove a problem for this blue side. You know, we have the Seraphine kind of moving up through the chickens. Despite this on vision, she just really can't make as much impact as the Rel can in these early stages of the game. And I think that we can really see that.
Got a lot of like really small trades going on the top side here between the MS and the Renekton. Renekton appears to be generally coming out on top. There is going to be the Q and the Ignite coming down to finish off the kill there.
It's
That'll
beautiful.
be yet another kill for the Renekton. And I think the Renekton has gotten a lot of value out of the Ignite this game. The Ignite has
coming
proven to
in.
be extremely useful.
Flashing out.
The Comet just barely misses the Rel on the backside of the play. That was really close.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, lots of low health bars, no kills on either side.
We saw some really clean flashes there.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw how close the Arcane Comet was to hitting that Rel when that Rel is like 2 HP. But man, I thought that that was going to be enough to finish the job, but her hitbox just isn't big enough. She needs a bigger horse, man.
I agree, I agree.
Got
At
about
this
a near
Oh,
a
go ahead.
2k gold lead here, with very different dynamic compared to last game.
Definitely, definitely. We're seeing the effects of that red side mobility and their that early game lead from the Jarvan and from the bot lane. It's just really expanded into a really big gap in this gold lead. As we can see, they have the pry out here for the grubs. And that instantly shifts the blue team towards that dragon. What do you think about this trade?
I see that the blue team doesn't have any teleports up, like I had mentioned earlier. So they did throw the Zac in there, but if the Karma can develop some mid priority and the Rel can move down early, then this could still potentially be contested. Similar to what we saw last game. Yeah,
Oh,
we see
yeah.
the Zac now moving off of the Drake. He is being pushed off, which is super critical for the red side as they're able to secure the grubs with no punishment on the other side.
This crazy mobility, it is still wowing me from the level 1 now to the level 6. Just so much power. She's even taking the vision back. We have so much red side vision, as we can see on this map. It's covered in red. I think that this process to take all this prio and not even give trades to the blue side for these objectives is really strong from the red team.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I also think that Renekton is at a point where he's so strong. And yet I'm kind of wondering if Ambassador were to move down to try and take control of that Drake. I'm wondering if red side would be willing to, you know, fight that like without the Renekton and have the Renekton just push towards that tower in the top lane, which now only has 2 plates left, and would obtain them the empowered boots if they are able to secure that objective.
Oh my goodness. We had the late teleport from the Karma. Zac looking for something here. I'm not sure if he's going to find it. Karma has big damage coming in onto this Corki.
Just still get the root off. This should be the Drake secured for the red side as well, which will give them 2 of the feats of strength, which would secure the empowered boots.
If I'm blue team, I'm really feeling the effects of this right now.
Yeah, gold lead currently sitting at about 2,500. We'll have an extra plate coming in here as well, giving it another 125 gold. Again, just in a really rough spot to be in at the moment.
Renekton taking really strong trades here, even against the counter pick.
Yeah, like a level up, has the Ignite backup and the ult backup, could look for another trade because of that. Again, has only been picked off one time, but has secured himself 2 kills. So again, just overall, maintaining good control of the lane, has more tower plates as well obtained.
Just the abuse onto the Hways. Absolutely nasty. Definitely going
Yeah,
to see
obviously,
Nocticon coming up on the bot lane here.
Wei does have a lot of like self-heal tools, like different forms of CC that he can use to get him out of those situations. But when you're layering the CC as excellently as you are on the side of the red side, there's just nothing you can do about it, even with all the different forms of utility you might have available to you.
Absolutely. I think we're even going to see a tower take coming from the red side here in the bot lane at this early before 15. Oh my goodness, the gold lead is going to be insane.
Spreading out the money a little bit there too by waiting for the tower to die. It's now ballooned into a 3,500 gold lead at this point. Not even allowing access to his own jungle at this point. He lost the blue buff the last time around. He's going to have to fight for it this time, but Nekton will walk away as the Ambessa used the teleport and is using the ult to very aggressively go onto this. The Renekton does have the ult available for himself and the Ignite up. Could see a trade coming through. He has not come through yet for the Renekton, I believe, so he could have gotten out, but it would have been a single E. There was nothing for him to dash through, so would have been tricky for him to get out in that situation otherwise.
Really smart forcing from the flash onto the Renekton, but also just great play from both sides. You know, the Renekton is trying to make a play here on that blue buff, but he recognizes as soon as he sees mid that everyone is peeling towards him. Really smart play from both sides.
Yeah, and just the heads-up play on the Ambessa's part there to know that that was probably pretty dang close to a max range ultimate there. And as well, like knowing that even though I'm using this ultimate to move very far forward to engage onto this Renekton, I know that my Zac is going to be able to make it. Again, Zac being at that level 9 means that if he did go for the E-Max, he now has his full range on his engages. So that is no small engage range. He can travel very large distances at this point, so he was at the perfect level to be able to engage from way further away.
Absolutely. You know, speaking of that, from this blue side, I would really like to see a lot of more Fog of War play. You know, as we can see, the red side Rel is crushing it in terms of playing around Fog of War.
There's another dive here in the top lane. The tower is going down. The Ambessa is being chased here. They has to flash away from the W Karma route. Varus Q is going to come through, give a little bit of extra damage down. Dashing around all of the different Rel you CC, but ultimately it doesn't matter because you're just evading at that point. You're not getting any trades through. Is caught out and the kill is secured.
We have a 4.5k gold lead onto the red side. It is feeling absolutely one-sided. What is happening to the blue team?
We also mentioned the significance of opening up the mid lane tower last game. And once again, we're going to see them use the objective that they recently obtained in the Rift Herald to open up that mid tower. And will they get a second charge off? No, they will not.
Still though, all these drugs and the dive onto the way.
Oh my.
Forcing the flash. Such great play from the red side here. Can we get a second tower? It's looking almost over for the blue team here.
There's an awful lot that you have to do at this point to get back into the game, and
can Corki make the kill
that
happen?
is not one of the things that you need to be doing.
Oh no, Corki.
They are looking to maybe get another kill on the Varus here. It's going to be pretty close. Looks like he's going to be able to get away. We'll have to flash away from the way. The Rel also in some trouble here. Not having any utility up to be able to heal for themselves, but an excellent chase. Very aggressive play there on the part of Corki. But that's what we need to be seeing on the part of the blue side here. We need to be seeing these aggressive plays where they're going in and they're like, we are going to commit to this. We are going to get something out of this. Ultimately, it ends up being a 1-for-1 there. Pretty close. But I believe that they had Summoner's advantage in that chase down. They were able to get both of the Karma Summoners. They were able to get the Varus Flash. They're able to get the Rel Summoners. It's just really, really huge for them to just be building up these small advantages when they're this far behind.
Absolutely. As we can see on the red side, there's only Jarvan Flash available here. And as you said, Corki going for that was a hero play. What do you think about sacrificing himself to take that advantage for his team? as opposed to getting himself forward into the late game.
Yeah, I think it's necessary. When you're behind like that, we saw that they were very close to turning that into a 3-for-1 in their favor, which if they had managed to turn that into a 3-for-1, that may have been their Drake as well. So I really do think that you do need to go for aggressive plays like that. That ward will just die out if you don't. And so I'm like a huge fan of like the idea behind it. May have been a bit better if Corki had like a package available, but unfortunately didn't quite have that extra little power to peel for himself upon arriving at his teleport point. Did have an initial jump away that was like very, very excellent. Just barely missed the karma on the last rocket. It was really close.
That was a heartbreaker.
Yeah, a little bit of a heartbreaker on their part.
If you're Corki there, you really want to make that worth it. But hopefully the Flash going into these next fights for the Otacon will make something happen.
Again, we see the vision paying off there on the side of the red side. The karma being able to back up at the perfect time, knowing that the Zac is nearby and on his way. Will not be caught out by that.
So we're going to go for a 5v3 here in the top lane. Renekton splitting into the bot.
They know that Renekton does not have TP available to him. The karma is going to be very easily caught out here. And with the shutdown bounty available, this is going to have to be a 3v5 if they choose to challenge this, because the Renekton is stuck in the bot lane with no way to make it up top.
Can the red side even do anything? This feels like a afterthought on their part, just absolutely abandoning.
They do have a lot of poke on the part of the Varus. We see excellent positioning here, I think, from the red side at the moment. Very, very, like...
Love the cleanse here. There's absolutely just
Zac with a lot of zoning here coming through. The Otacon down to 1500 health now. Smite only available for the blue side. They are going to get 2 extra kills off of the Otacon immediately. And then they are likely to pick up the Zac as well, which means that there will be 3 down, only 2 revives available. Only with the Wade dying before the fight, I think it's only going to be the revive on... Who is it that did not die there? Was it the Seraphine? I think it was the Seraphine.
I'm not sure. I think Seraphine also withdrew as well. I think it's just such a hard position if you're in the blue side here. As we can see, Renekton took so much advantage, and the red team got the wipe there. What do you think about that trade in terms of value, in terms of the blue team just trying to get as much as they can back into this game with the Otacon?
Yeah, so I was a jungle main for a very long time, and my viewpoint on this in games where you're behind is that it's less about the value that you get out of the Otacon and more about the value that you are denying from the team that is ahead in the Otacon. So even though you may not have gotten a whole lot out of it, and everybody was immediately withdrawn from the fight after securing the objective, the important part is the team that is ahead does not have it. Because the team that is ahead can take a super aggressive fight with no consequence in the case that they secure it. So I think it's very, very important. Also, I noticed there that the Ambessa is the one that still has the revive at the moment, which is super critical because we saw in this last fight that the Ambessa was the one who is going to be pulling the trigger alongside the Zac for the side of the blue side. So go in for a very aggressive play, see if they can secure a pick, and if not, then that Ambessa is not going to be punished for that.
Absolutely. We definitely have some great long game scalers on both sides of these teams. You know, we have the Corki, we have the Ambessa with the Hwei, we have the Varus, and we have the Jarvan and the Karma.
Yeah, I think we're seeing so much value out of the Varus here in terms of the damage output. The poke that's coming through, doing a lot of damage on some of these arrows. Like again, we see there, that's what I was talking about, and the Ambessa can go for a super aggressive play without really being punished for it. The Hwei burn is coming down. The Varus is getting pretty low here. If he gets hit by the long-range Hwei ability, he could end up falling. Looks like he is going to go for a recall. Renekton down in bot lane, already on the inhib tower, putting down some damage down there. The tower has been dropped. But he may be caught out of position here. We do see the Zac coming through and the Corki right behind. It's going to be difficult for the Renekton to get out of this, but can he secure a kill before he gets caught? It's looking like he will be able to. Yeah, he's able to take the shutdown bounty on the Zac as well before getting taken down himself. Potentially even grabbing the Ambessa in the process. Just excellently played there. Knowing his limits, being able to know there's no way out of this, I might as well challenge. Man, that is really, really huge. You are ahead, and you got not only a shutdown on the only leading member on the blue side, but also an additional kill on the Ambessa, and setting your team up for success with 2 down for a 3rd Drake of the game.
That has got to feel bad if you're blue side. Plus, Ambessa burning the flash there means she's going to have way less engaged going into these next fights. 3rd Drake is already on for the red team. Just a bad time to chase into that Renekton. Definitely feeling the effects of that right now.
Yeah, that was really, really surprising. The Renekton feeling really, really good with where he's at right now. We've seen him making plays, acting like he's been ahead for basically the entire game, really being a cornerstone of, I would even say, like, we've seen him playing apart from his team for almost the entire game. He hasn't been present for any of the, like, team skirmishes between the two sides. He's been securing other advantages in other spots on the map on his own. Just this entire game, just doing an excellent job.
Beautiful vision takes from this route here. Just setting her team up for success with all these wards. We can see that the entire map is dotted with red once again.
Yeah, and obviously there isn't really a whole lot to play down towards the bot side. The one thing that I will say is that the teleport is down on the part of the Karma, which makes it a little bit awkward because ideally the red side would like to have somebody with teleport available to push in that bot lane and threaten that take on the inhib, while the rest of the team is floating around the Baron, because obviously the inhib pressure is super, super significant when setting up a Baron take, because you're going to have to force someone down, and otherwise you could end up seeing your base in shambles. But they're going to have to start this Baron without any pressure down towards that bot side inhib.
Great understanding of where they are in the game on the red side. They know that
Rel is going to aggressively flash forward. I think this is just a move to buy space more so than to make a play on the enemy team. But it looks like the entire team is going to peel off of the Baron and move towards a more aggressive positioning. I think they were a little far for that. I think I would have liked to see the Rel kind of like keep in by herself, maybe add in some Varus poke while the rest of the members committed to the Baron there. I think it would have been very doable. But they did seek for the kills. A lot of Varus like burst coming through on his Qs meant that they may have been able to chase something down, but nothing happening on either side here ultimately.
Yeah, I agree here. I think an exercise of patience from the Rel may have been good there. You know, her team being so far away and having to peel away from the Baron may have been a little bit disadvantageous.
I think that one of the biggest things to consider in that last fight, as we have another fight going through here, the Jarvan is caught in the middle of everything, does get the ult down, and the Renekton is going to find a great angle onto the backline here, is able to take down the Corki, while the Varus is having some excellent arrows from really unique angle here, as it looks like they're going to end up wiping the entire team. The Zac is barely able to get out, taking some burn damage, but looks like he's going to be fine and just barely managed to get out here. Wow, that was just an excellent play by the red team. Just really great positioning on so many levels.
This is just absolute domination. As you can see on the map as they're taking the Baron here, Varus pushing in that mid lane, Renekton pushing in that top lane, and a previously prepped bot wave utterly destroying these waves from the blue side. And we have the Baron take here.
I am super impressed with that last team fight, because it initially looked like the blue side was going to collapse onto the Jarvan and find the pick. Jarvan, knowing that he was fully dead and that there was no way out of that, went for the engage instead. And it's less about what he managed in the engage. I don't think he even got a lot of flag and drag value, but the ultimate value was where everything was at in that last fight. He was able to confine them to a space right where the different paths merge on like the backside of the blue buff pit. And so people were trapped. And then you had the Renekton next to the blue buff who jumped over the wall with his E and hopped right onto the Corki and the Seraphine, and was able to get both of them with his empowered Qs and with the W stun, so that they weren't able to contribute to the fight. And meanwhile, you had Varus in the mid lane, by himself in the mid lane, able to throw out his ult through one of the only escape routes that was available to the blue side there, moving back towards the mid lane, and throwing all of that poke, and which isn't poke anymore, it's burst damage on those Varus Qs. And really just confining them into that space where they're just able to just trap them in and keep them there. And even though the Jarvan fell, it ultimately ended up being very favorable for the red side.
Absolutely. That fight was so well executed from the side of UW that I could not see barely anything happen. In 1 second, in a blink of an eye, the advantage from collapsing on the Jarvan is just immediately turned over into that burst damage against the side of Utah.
And I think that they're just going to be content with just sieging down here. It's really hard for the blue side to defend the siege with all of these bars arrows coming through. It is not safe under that tower with the Baron empowered minions in front of that bars. That's a lot of damage coming through. We like to see the Renekton in a different part of the map from the rest of the team. We also have the Infernal Soul up in 3 seconds if the red side chooses to retreat and go achieve that. I imagine that they will after they take the second inhib here.
A fake out from the side of the Zac from the Utah team. Very interesting play. They're just trying to keep alive here.
Looks like I think they'll use this last wave here to try and really push onto this inhib, and then they will likely move back to take that Infernal Soul. One auto should be enough to do it with the Baron empowered cannon minion being there. There it is. Yeah, and as expected, they're going for the permanent bonus.
As we go for the Infernal Soul here, Utah can do nothing. We have siege minions coming from the bot side, and 2 already stacked up in the mid. This looks like complete domination with a 10k gold lead on the side of UW.
And then an Infernal Soul on top of that is only going to make those Varus Qs even more deadlier than they already were. You're going to see a couple hundred damage stacked on top of what was already being done. It's just going to be really brutal on the side of the blue side. Really stepping up into these fights is going to be incredibly difficult. You have the Baron back up in 2.5 minutes. It might not even take that long, depending on whether or not we see any fights for vision at any part of the map. And man, this has just been an explosive game for UW.
It's absolutely disgusting. If we look at the scoreboard here, we can see that Varus is 604, 700 shutdown with 4 fully completed items, and the Hui is still on 2. It's a very tragic scenario, but we can just see how this clean team play and early game advantages has propelled them into this late game with these permanent advantages.
Yeah, that's one of the really big things about going for this lethality Varus build, is a lot of these items are a little bit cheaper than some of the alternatives for a lot of the marksman-based ADCs or even the ability power-based ADCs. Because you're getting a lot of extra value a lot faster, just because that couple hundred gold less on a lot of the items that are giving you these lethality bonuses is just really significant in hitting those spikes earlier and getting a lot further ahead.
Looks like we have some more fake outs from the side of the Utah Zac.
Ooh.
Trying to push them away a little bit. Definitely going to see a 5v5 coming in here soon.
I really like how UW is playing this year. They're obviously using all of their champions to apply pressure in top lane, while having Renekton once again split from the team and having the super minions push in mid and bot lane. All they're really doing here is like looking for a lane and buying time. If they can find a pick here, it likely means that the game is over. If they are unable to find a pick, it doesn't really mean a whole lot for them. Like, they have nothing to lose here. As you see, they are kind of just face tanking this tower here as they're trying to take it down. They do have the 6 grubs, which is providing them a little bit of extra power with taking it down without minions. They are going to get about 95% of the tower's health down, but they do have a little bit lower health bars because they're taking a lot of damage. The engage comes in on the Renekton. The Zac is in the middle of the entire red team. They are able to pick off the Jarvan as well, so that tool is going to be down. Quay dropping the ADC. Renekton is chasing all the way down. He's able to pick off the 4K flashes coming through. Low health bars available on the red side, but they still have everyone alive, and that is going to be the Zac falling as well. I think they may have forgotten about the Zac passive in the chaos of the fight that was happening, and that was why he may have been able to get back here. But both Nexus towers falling means that this is likely going to be the end of the game. The Rel falling to the Nexus laser, Fountain laser, and the Nexus will drop, and that will be the game.
That is a beautiful 2-0 for UW.
Yeah, and the second game here, we just see clean gameplay, front to back. Nothing more can really be said about it. We see the Varus there with the 46,000 damage, 20,000 more than the Corki, who is the next closest damage dealer on the other side there.
Definitely saw some great, clean play from the UW.
Yeah. Well, congratulations today to the University of Washington. Um, yeah, and thanks to everyone for joining us today for the Collegiate League of Legends West Swiss Stage 1 and for hanging out with our production crew, players, and talent as we watch this super exciting game that went on today. Remember to check us out at UW Esports on YouTube, Instagram, and X. You can also join the Discord if you are interested in volunteering behind the scenes. It's a lot of fun. And to everyone, have a great night.